When I say the name Mongol, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it horses, war, or maybe Genghis Khan? In any case, what we are going to talk about today will surely surprise you. Who are the Mongols? They are a nomadic tribe that lived in a place called Mongolia, which is now divided between two countries, Mongolia and China. At its peak, the Mongol Empire stretched from Korea to Eastern Europe. This vast empire was founded by a man named Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan, who united the Mongol tribes and led them to victory against the Khwarezmians in 1220. After establishing his empire, Genghis Khan turned his attention to Baghdad, then the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you never miss any of our videos. Let's begin. In 1258, Hulagu Khan invaded Baghdad and destroyed the caliphate, killing thousands of Muslims and burning down countless books. But what exactly happened in Baghdad? What made this invasion so brutal and deadly? To answer these questions, we need to go back to the beginning. In 1256, Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, prepared for an invasion of the Middle East. He assembled a large army of Mongols and Turks and set out from his base in Persia. As he approached Baghdad, the Abbasid Caliph, al-Mustasim, tried to resist, but he was no match for the Mongol horde. By February 1258, Hulagu's forces had surrounded the city and began bombarding it with catapults. After several days of fighting, Baghdad fell and the Mongols entered the city in triumph. What happened next is nothing short of horrifying. According to Arab historian Ibn al-Athir, the Mongols went on a rampage, killing everyone in their path. They burned down homes and shops, looted treasures, and massacred scholars. One of the most horrific scenes took place at the Round City, also known as the Harbia Palace, where the Abbasid caliphs had lived for centuries. Here, the Mongols rounded up hundreds of scholars and thinkers and burnt them alive inside the palace. Among those who perished was the famous Muslim philosopher Averroes, whose death is said to have been particularly cruel. Another eyewitness account of the Mongol siege of Baghdad was given by the Venetian merchant Marco Polo, who described the Mongols as a nation of infidels who knew no mercy. He, too, recounted the horrific scenes at the Round City, saying that the Mongols burnt 4,000 wise men alive, including one who would have been worth giving all the treasure in the world to save. It is said that when Hulagu Khan learned of Averroes' death, he lamented that one of the finest intellects in Islam had been lost to the flames. Even though he was responsible for ordering the massacre, Hulagu Khan had some respect for knowledge and culture. He spared the lives of some scholars and ordered the construction of a library to house the books that were stolen during the sack of Baghdad. However, this gesture cannot be seen as anything other than a drop in the ocean of atrocities committed by the Mongols in Baghdad. As the Mongols rampaged through the city, they destroyed priceless artifacts and works of art, looted tombs, and desecrated mosques. The Great Mosque of Baghdad, one of the holiest sites in Islam, was not spared. Its courtyard was used as a stable for Mongol horses, and its minarets were chopped down to use as latrines. The Mongols continued their reign of terror for several days until the city was completely devastated. When they finally left Baghdad, it was little more than a smoldering ruin. But why did the Mongols do all this? What was the purpose of their invasion? Well, to put it simply, the Mongols were looking to expand their empire and they saw the Abbasid Caliphate as a valuable target. The Caliphate was rich in resources and strategically located at the crossroads of major trade routes. Additionally, the Mongols had been in conflict with the Khwarezmians, who controlled much of Central Asia, and they saw an opportunity to deal a fatal blow to their enemies by targeting Baghdad. Furthermore, the Mongols had a deep-seated hatred for cities, seeing them as centers of corruption and immorality. They believed that the only way to truly conquer a people was to destroy their cities and way of life. And so they went on a rampage, sacking and destroying every city in their path. But why didn't the Muslims defend themselves? Why didn't they fight back against the invaders? Well, the Muslim world was in a state of disarray at the time. The various Muslim states were constantly at war with each other, and there was no unity among them. This allowed the Mongols to pick them off one by one. Furthermore, the Mongols were highly skilled warriors who had developed new military technologies and tactics. They were also able to exploit the weaknesses of their opponents and use their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. All of these factors contributed to the success of the Mongol invasions. One of the most important consequences of the Mongol invasion was the destruction of Islamic civilization. The Mongols killed or enslaved millions of Muslims, looted countless works of art and literature, and destroyed some of the holiest sites in Islam. The sack of Baghdad in particular was a devastating blow, as it effectively ended the Abbasid Caliphate and ushered in a new era of Mongol rule in the Middle East. However, it's important to note that the Mongols were not the only ones to blame for this destruction. The Muslim rulers also played a role in bringing about their own downfall. Many of them were corrupt and ineffective leaders who were more concerned with maintaining their power than with protecting their people. For example, the last Abbasid Caliph, al-Mustasim, was a puppet ruler who had no real control over the affairs of the state. He was advised by a vizier, Saf al-Din, who was more interested in amassing wealth for himself than in defending the city against the Mongol invaders. So, what can we learn from this dark chapter in history? How can we ensure that such atrocities are never repeated? One of the most important lessons we can take away from the Mongol invasions is the importance of unity and cooperation. When the Muslim states were fragmented and constantly at war with each other, they were unable to mount an effective defense against the Mongol onslaught. Only through unity and cooperation could they have hoped to resist the invaders. Another lesson we can learn is the importance of tolerance and respect for other cultures. The Mongols were known for their brutality and their hatred of cities and intellectuals. However, there were some Mongols, such as Hulagu Khan, who recognized the value of knowledge and culture. It was Hulagu who ordered the construction of the library in Baghdad after the city was sacked. By sparing the lives of some scholars and commissioning the building of a library, Hulagu demonstrated that even the most ruthless conquerors can appreciate the importance of learning and scholarship. You may be wondering, how many people did the Mongols kill? It's impossible to say for sure, but historians estimate that the Mongols killed at least 40 million people during their invasions. That's about 10% of the world's population at the time. The Mongols were responsible for some of the worst atrocities in history. They slaughtered entire cities, burned down priceless artifacts and works of art, and enslaved or killed millions of people. Their invasions had a devastating impact on the course of history, ushering in a new era of Mongol rule in the Middle East and Eastern Europe. Yet, despite their brutality, the Mongols also had a surprising impact on the development of human civilization. They facilitated trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia, and their rulers, such as Kublai Khan, were patrons of the arts and sciences. In fact, after Hulagu Khan converted to Islam, he became a patron of Islamic scholarship, inviting Muslim scholars from all over the world to his court in Baghdad. He also built the beautiful Mosque of the Two Sisters in Tabriz and funded the construction of madrasas, or religious schools, throughout his empire. His grandson, Orgadai, followed in his footsteps, becoming one of the most ardent supporters of Islamic learning. Under his reign, Baghdad became a center of scholarship once again. The Mongols' embrace of Islam marked a significant shift in the empire's cultural landscape, demonstrating that even the most feared conquerors can be won over by the message of peace and tolerance. The Mongol Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in history. It spanned from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe and lasted for nearly a century. Despite their immense power and influence, the Mongols eventually faded into obscurity. But their legacy continued to live on in unexpected ways. After the empire's collapse, many Mongols converted to Islam and became known as the White Mongols. They played a significant role in the Golden Horde, a Mongol Khanate that ruled over much of Russia. The White Mongols were known for their tolerance and respect for other cultures and religions, and they contributed to the development of Islamic civilization in Russia. So, while the Mongols had a reputation for being ruthless conquerors and their invasions had a devastating impact on history, their legacy is more complex and nuanced than often remembered. They were responsible for some of the worst atrocities in history, but they also made significant contributions to the development of human civilization. We hope that you enjoyed learning about the Mongols and their impact on history. If you want to learn more about other historical events, be sure to check out our other videos. We explore a variety of topics, from ancient civilizations to medieval battles to the rise of modern nations. Thank you for watching.